Hello, and welcome to IHWO Northampton's very first podcast. My name is Jagruti, and over the next few months, I will be meeting with members of the IHWO community, which will include members of the management committee as well as some of the organization's volunteers. This particular series has been inspired by the recent acquisition of 68 St Michael's Road in Northampton Town, which is now the town's first Hindu mandir. In this first podcast, I meet up with Neelam Aggarwal-Singh, who is the current chair of IHWO. So, thank you, Neelam, for joining me on IHWO's first podcast. It's exciting times ahead. And I think it's truly been inspired by the recent acquisition of Northampton's first mandir. So, thank you for joining me. And it's apt that you're with me on the very first podcast. You've been at the helm of IHWO, you steer, you direct, and you've been doing this since its inception. In fact, you're part of the inception story. So I wanted to start by asking you to share with our listeners some of the background of how it started and how we've arrived where we are at today.
Namaste, Jagruti.
Namaste.
And thank you for taking this on behalf of IHWO. I'm grateful because it's good to see we are moving with time. And something like this, the very first podcast and many more to come, will engage our young people. And that's what is absolutely fantastic. I think if I start with a very beginning journey, which was nothing to do with IHWO. In 1995, I was on the Millennium Board for the Midsummer Meadows on Bedford Road. And there was a concept of creating a cultural center, meditation cultural center. I'm a Sai Baba devotee, and I thought that will be fantastic facility to have. And things evolved, and before I knew, I was becoming more and more aware of, as a Hindu, that there is nothing for Hindus in this town. So that I then was able to influence into something about the Hindu community cultural center and a very first mandir on Bedford Road. And, lots of steps we jumped, but in 1996 we established IHWO in April. So the inception was in 1995, and there were three of us, myself, Ashok Kapoor and Ashok Bedi. We started the organization. We put £100 each as a seed funding to, in an organic way, grow the organization. And we held very first pravachan from a Swamiji from Vrindavan at boys' school. And it was amazing. Councillor Baines, he was the first Asian mayor in this town. So he, what a celebration that this was all happening around Asian people in Northampton. Because to me, IHWO, when we decided on the name, IHWO was also very thought through. That even people who come from Africa, Kenya, their roots are embedded in India. Hence, we chose Indian Hindu welfare is a big thing, an organization, a group which will make things happen. So it's been a very long journey. So many people came and left, but for some very strange reason, and I put it to God, because God will keep you involved in something until their wish, and when time is up, you will move on to different things. So I am still there championing this very worthwhile cause, not just for today's generation, but for many generations to come. Because having a place where you feel the sense of belonging, sense of identity is so vital for our future generations, for our young people to feel that. So we named it Indian Hindu Welfare Organization. Northampton goes in bracket. We registered, we became a charity before we knew it. And then Millennium Project didn't happen, but the need of the Hindu community hasn't gone away. So by this time, I am very clear that this still need to happen. And I was then championing it. There was other people came on board. There was Nilesh Patel who got involved. There was Nina Vadra, She's been involved. There's been a lot of people who have made a significant contribution to the life of this project. And I then started talking to council to say, look, that project didn't happen, but we still here as Hindus and something needs to be done. So to cut a long story short, in 2004, a piece of land was identified in Linksway. We visited lots of potential sites, but that was we were agreed with, and we were overjoyed. Why? Because it's in the heart of the Hindu community. That's where majority Hindus live, so it's in walking distance, hence it's environmentally friendly. We're not going to be using too many cars and contributing to the bad of the environment. We were overjoyed, the natural screening, because we as Hindus are very committed to our environment, to do the right thing by every possible living being and the environment. So this was just perfect and God sent. But it took 4 years to actually finalize the lease agreement with the Borough Council. And in 2008, in June, I remember traveling from Heathrow when I got the phone call to say I can go in and sign tomorrow. And that was the most joyous day of my life, that we are beginning to get there. And we signed the lease in June, and then in October, we organized the blessing of land, Bhumi Pujan. We had a lot of support from Crowley Temple. I would like to mention Ash Soni, who has been God sent for our project, helped in such a selfless way, always willing and ready to do whatever he could. I could pick up the phone even now and he'll be happy to help me. You know, those meaningful connections for this project, because something what we are creating is not one person doing. It has to be like-minded, selfless kind of volunteers, human being who make things happen. And that's what this project has been blessed with in this journey. I think there's been lots of ups and downs, but mostly I look at it as a positive, because when there are down, we learn from those downs. So those are the one which creates opportunities. We learn, we get up, and we keep going. So I think, we established the Bhumi Pujan. We wanted to raise money through that activity with the help of guidance of the Crowley Mandir, Ash Soni. And then we targeted that we will raise about 80 to 150,000 pounds, which we needed, because prior to that, I secured through Marie Dickey about 58,000 pounds for the planning application. And that brought more challenges, because somebody's saying, oh, she's not using it, so let's get it out. And then somebody rings me, say, oh, Neelam, did you know they're trying to get your money? And I'm saying, over my dead body. And then, it's just been, for me, Jagruti, I think God has put his soldiers in place to help and enable this project. I am just a puppet of God to do what I'm doing, but it's him who is maneuvering things.
And that's interesting you say that, because yes, you've always maintained that you've been there, but you've had that support, that sort of unspoken support behind you.
Yeah.
So can I say then that project became the Kutum project? Is that how that came about?
Yes. So there was a time in the journey when we recognized that we needed to give a name. IHWO was not enough. As to what is our aspiration and what will describe our vision and our aim. And then we consulted a number of people, and I think it was Chotu Bhai, if I remember right, who came up with the word Kutum. Chotu Bhai, a real tribute to him. He's dedicated his life to Hindu community ever since he's been in England. And he played a big role in the Hindu community. I've always looked up to him. I've always introduced him that he's the leader of the Hindu community. He served on the IHWO committee. He led on VHP, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, for many years. There is Shakha Samiti, which do sterling work to engage with the young people. So I'm just trying to think what you asked me. So the kutum, yes.
Yeah.
So we agreed after consultation that we will call it kutum. Kutum is a word which has come from Gita, and what kutum means, which describes the Hindu philosophy so beautifully, that kutum is the wider family. So it's not, the project is not just for the Hindus, but it's for everybody else. Because if we do it together, it's much, much better rather than we just Hindus doing this. And again, another blessing. We've had so much input from non Hindus in this project. And we had, I really would like to pay tribute to people like initially Malcolm Pollard, his dear wife Elkie Pollard, John Dickey, Marie Dickey, Tom Hancock. These were the movers and shakers in the initial stage of the project, helping us, guiding us. This is what we need to do next. This is what we need to do next. Because I certainly didn't have that knowledge and experience of the voluntary sector. We learn as we go along. There used to be a volunteer CVS, Council for Voluntary Services. They played a big role in helping to shape us as an organization. So there's been lots of input, and not just the Hindu input, but the wider input into the organization. And that's what makes us who we are, what we are. So the kutum, to me, it describes us as Hindus, who we are, what we are about. And we are about not just Hindus, but the wider family. And that's what kutum means. And that's where the word was just so appropriate, so apt for this project.
I remember at the time actually when that came about, there was a lot of energy and enthusiasm. People were really wanting to get involved, and just a sense of excitement that this is finally going to happen for us. So where did that go to? What happened with that particular development?
Well, before I start on that, Jagrati, I also want to acknowledge you've been there from day one, if you remember. You've been involved with the
Yes, and,
project.
and I do remember those moments, but I've dipped, unlike you, I've dipped in and out, but your commitment, you can't take away. And that's what this is, the outcome of today as a result of that. It's about commitment.
Yes, commitment, absolutely. But your commitment, whether you've been fully engrossed and involved in the project or offhand, you've been there,
Well,
in
thank
and
you.
out.
And
Yes,
it's good, and we're moving things along, which is
yes,
and it's great to be a part of that and contribute in
yeah.
whichever way I can.
Thank you, and we welcome you
Thank you.
on IHWO, because many times I have said, if we can clone you, we would love to clone you, because you bring such a bundle of positive, amazing energy
Well,
to the project.
it's an interesting, exciting time, and it's important, as you've already mentioned, for the Hindu community. It's an opportunity for the Hindu community to come together. The mandir, concept is such an important part of our culture,
Yeah.
and it'll draw people together. This is what this is about.
Well,
Okay,
it's the
so
spiritual healing
yes,
through our mandir. But going back to your original question, so the journey we had with the Kutum project is, we set up a project team, we set up a mandir team who was looking at which murtis we want, and what will be. And the concept from day one has been Sanatan Mandir, because it's very, very important that we are an all embracing of all different denomination of Hindu faith which exist, and wider community. So what has happened, we interviewed we did a tender for the architect, we appointed PHP architect firm which was in Milton Melzer, and they did sterling work. I mean, Rob, he was amazing. We've had Mick Young, he was the leader of the council, who's been on the project team. Neville, who was a QS, Denny Parmar, Atul Bhai Karavadra. I want to pay tribute to his contribution. He was the glue to IHWO, who kept everything together and kept moving us forward. And I miss him dearly. I really miss him. But we carried on. We secured the planning approval in 2011, and then we had to go through another process because WNDC collapsed or folded, whatever the right word is, and we were required to put another funding, another planning approval. So May 2012, we got the absolute final planning approval, and it was an occasion. I remember some of us going to the council for the planning meeting, and I wish we recorded that event. It was a momentous occasion where councillors were trying to speak before the next one and the next one. And I remember sitting there, tears rolling down my cheeks, to feel so humble with the blessing of God that He is creating this for us as an organization, that there is so many different group of counselors in this room and officers, and they all spoke with the same passion, with the same love and affection for the Kutum project and the commitment that they wanted this to happen. So we had the full planning approval, so much money spent on different surveys and things we needed to do, but we got through every single step and we made it happen, that we got the planning approval. And then, you know, I have a slight regret because in terms of not one person has every knowledge. And that's where I wish I knew that once the planning approval application lapse, we have to go through the whole thing again. I didn't have that knowledge. And we are where we are because that planning approval lapsed. We then started engaging again because we need to recognize every single one of us is a volunteer. The reason we are engaged in doing this because we have a passion about changing something for our future, for our young people. So, you know, we all have different pressures, different commitments, but we're carrying on. And we then engaged with another architect firm which done the Gurdwara, and then architect and the builder. We did public consultation about some of it, and then that didn't progress. Then we engaged another architect, Amico. We did a presentation in June 22, to the community about the design and the layout. Everybody was so happy. I mean, we had about 40 odd people who turned up for that meeting. Everybody was so buzzing and happy. And then last year, we bought the Mandir, our Sanatan Mandir, Northampton Sanatan Mandir, on Janmashtami Day. And I remember we even had the Kutum project meeting few days before that. And I have to say, as I was saying earlier, there is only so much time in a day which allows us to do what we need to do. And therefore, the honest truth, because I am very much about, I need to be upfront and honest. I don't need to, put any layers on it. It's not my personal thing. It's a community project, and community has every right to know where we are, what we are doing. So since we have bought the mandir, we have not been able to do much more about the Kutum project. And that is the honest truth. Because our energy, our commitment are now going into our Hindu mandir. Because what we want to do is, rather than try and do two bad jobs, we want to do one job well. And what I'm very clear about is Kutum project has not gone away, is not going to go away. It will still happen once we have finally established our mandir. Because when we bought it, we thought, oh, it just need bit of this. We are there at least twice a week to talk to different workmen, builders. There is gas meter needed doing, electric meter needs, little things. We need to think about sign, this, so lot needs to be done.
So that, okay, I'm just going to pause there for a minute because you've given us so much information, actually, information that I wouldn't have even known, and I was there pretty much from the outset. So thank you for sharing that sort of journey where we've arrived to. So I just wanted to kind of clarify. Currently, we've obviously got the cutting project, as you've quite clearly said, it's there and it will continue, but the focus will be for the new Mandir. And we've also got the Western Parish Hall. So I wanted to understand, how do you plan to continue to use that?
Well, Western Fable Parish Hall has been an important addition to IHWO portfolio because we had no stability as an organization. Because, you know, one minute we were at Brookside, then we were Rectory Farm, then we were back at Brookside, and we've been hopping from one place to the other, having no place and working from home. So, what Western Fable Parish Hall has done for us as an organization is given us a base, given us an identity that this is where the IHWO is. And, and again, it's not just IHWO who uses that place. I am so proud to say that it's used by another 15, 20 different groups who use that place. And there was an opportunity to apply for the lease of the Western Fable Parish Hall, which we did, and it belongs to IHWO, the lease, and it's again a very closer proximity to where most of the Hindus live. We hold our monthly bhajans there, we hold our key festivals, we have our Bharatnatyam classes there, the young people who come and learn Bharatnatyam every Friday. We used to have Shakha Samiti there, and I think there is only Shakha Samiti on Sunday now. They use another venue for Fridays, but it's a hub. There is the Oswal community who uses it. There is the Swaminarayan community who use the Western Fable Parish Hall. So it's very well used facility, and it's an asset for the community.
Oh, it's,
That's how I see it.
I think I agree. It's been a great asset because you've been able to hold all your functions there, and you'll be able to continue to do that whilst the mandir is being set up.
Absolutely, Jagrati. So, and also just to add, we do Holi Dulhandi there, we had royal visit there, we've done a lot of things at Western Fable Parish Hall. So, the change will be once Mandir work completes, because there's a lot of work which we are beginning to discover, but we will get through it and we will get there. So, once Mandir is completely ready, we will do all our religious activities at our Mandir, and it will make sense whether it's monthly bhajan, whether it's the key festivals, and there will be more. There is such a vast Hindu community which resides in Northampton. We have examples of, we as an organization played an active role in Murari Bapu Katha. In 2000, there was the Murari Bapu Katha led by Wellingborough, but IHWO was then integral part in making things happen. Wherever there were challenges, we helped to remove those challenges by connecting the committee. I was part of the committee to make sure we had a very successful Murari Bapu Katha in 2000. I just wanted to also clarify the question about money. How did we pay for this mandir, Sanatan Mandir we've just bought? And I think this is also my opportunity to acknowledge and thank people like Jendrabhai Tanna, who started the bhajan, Jalaram monthly bhajan at Western Fable Parish Hall. So certain amount of money has been raised through that. Then him and his team, the A team, organized Katha in Wellingborough. Again, they raised a lot of money through that activity, and all those funds have contributed towards purchasing our Sanatan Mandir. And I think it's important for people to know that their efforts have been gone to a very good cause, and their contribution towards making this mandir happen.
I think it's an interesting point you make, and money is always a big thing in these things, and people will view it in different ways. But I think important, as you've acknowledged, that all these things cost money. So yes, it's God's work, but ultimately we need to finance it and support it. So yeah, so I think what you're saying is absolutely right, that we need to think about ways of supporting that and being honest and upfront about it, which is, which is great, which is what you've done today, which is, very, very useful, I think, for all our listeners. Um, and something else you picked up on, groups using this, and I was quite interested to understand how you came about the name Sanatan, because you've named the mandir Northampton Sanatan Mandir. Yeah, correct.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's correct.
yeah.
Yes, I think again, as I said earlier, I'm a Hindu, practicing Hindu. I was born, brought up in India, and Sanatan is the word which I heard in every possible prayers. And I remember asking my father and my grandfather and the priest, who was our family priest, to understand what was Sanatan, the meaning of Sanatan. And to me, is, I've said throughout that this project is inclusive of not just Hindus but the wider, hence the Kutum. And Sanatan, because there are so many denominations of the Hindu faith, and it's not just the Hindu faith. Through my other work, I've learned every faith has so many different denominations. I just want to be clear, because Hindus are criticized sometimes about having millions of gods. But I just want to be clear, it's not just the Hindus who have so many denominations. There are every faith which has so many denominations. And for me, Sanatan simply means everybody who see themselves as a Hindu, no matter which denomination they are. And originally, I hope nobody will dislike me for saying this, even the Sikhs fall within the Sanatan Dharma, Jain, Buddhist, because these three religions are branches of the Hinduism. They branched out of Hinduism. And officially, Sanatan Dharma means anybody who has been a Hindu is part of that Sanatan Dharma. And it is with the spirit of inclusivity that everybody can be part of it. I mean, now in Northampton, we have so much diversity of Hindus from north, south, east, west, you name it. We are all here. And I really urge every single Hindu to play a part and to feel a sense of belonging, a connectivity with this Sanatan Mandir. Call it yours, make it yours, and be part of it.
And that's, you've led me on to a really interesting point, because my next question to you was going to be, how can people get involved if they want to get involved, either helping or supporting? Are there any ways at the moment, or is that to come?
Well, there is the IHWO couldn't do what it does without the volunteering. Bhumi Pujan, we had 140 volunteers on the database. Diwali Light, we have about 50 volunteers, which is one of the biggest celebration in this town. Even now, we couldn't do what we do without the volunteers. If there is a will, there is a way. I'm a great believer of that. If somebody wants to be part of this beautiful journey, beautiful opportunity to give to the God, to surrender to the God, to surrender to the community, ample opportunity. I'll give you an example. I set up a small group of some newcomers from India, and they are being amazing. They have provided prashadi when we did the 22nd January event. They're providing the prashad food for the March Shivratri next Friday. And they are just such a get up and go young group of women. I write on the group, within half an hour, it's done, it's sorted. So to me, it's giving the traditional volunteers a little bit of a break and a breathing space, that they have been doing it for so long. Now we've got these young people, let's engage them and let's utilize them. You've been part of the very first newsletter we released on 1st of March. What a fantastic example of the innovation, the creativity, the commitment from three of you, Poonam, and Sachin. The Facebook is filled with positive comments about it, and the conversation I'm having with individuals, because I have a very open door policy. I talk to people. I am approachable. People can approach me, and that is such an important thing, that we have that critical feedback from the people. And so far, touchwood, Jagrati, you led the team, and you three worked uh, as a team in such a fantastic way. And hats off to all three of you. I had a volunteer at Diwali time, Amit Pandya. He said to me, Neelamji, I want to help the community raise some money. So him, Amit, his wife Swati, Poonam, and so many others, Somya. So they all did 900 samosa sale at Diwali time. And then Amit was able to do match funding. So, we raised over £2,000 through that seed of the thought to want to give, to want to help, to want to be part of this journey of the Hindu Community Project. So every little help,
I mean, you've said it all, and I think people are feeling passionate. You sense there's a sense of passion out there, and the energy levels
Yes.
are incredible. And it'll be interesting, to channel that energy into this project.
Absolutely.
So I think you've answered so many of the questions I was going to go on to ask, and we definitely need to meet again because there is much more to cover. But for today, I think I'll say let's close at that stage. But before we do, as you know, I've asked you as a way of saying thank you to agreeing to do this, to pick a song or a bhajan or a piece of poetry, literature that you've really found inspirational in your life, and that you'd like to share with us all. So can you share with me what it is and why?
Yeah, I think I have lots of favorite bhajans, which I sing, some of them. But my most favorite, which links to this project, has to be मेरे घर के आगे साई राम तेरा मंदिर बन जाए, जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए. I think that sums up my passion to invite God in our town and have a mandir for us all as Hindus. So that's my favorite song for this podcast.
Thank you. Absolutely amazing. Okay, I will certainly play that out as we close the show. But that just remains to say thank you very much. And I look forward to meeting other committee members and other members of the community to do something similar. And we will also revisit at some point. Let's see. In a few months' time, we'll come back and see what we're up to at that stage.
Well, can I just say thank you so much, Jagruti, for creating this opportunity to reach out to the people so we can then get that message across. What is happening? What has been the journey like? And, to capture 27 years of journey is not easy. We just scratched the surface today. But there will be, as you say, but what will be, I am so grateful that you are going to do similar thing with other project team members, because it will be amazing to listen to their perspective, how they see this journey and how they have beautifully contributed in a selfless way. So thank you so much, Jagruti, to you for doing this and taking this initiative forward on behalf of IHWO. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
तेरा मंदिर बन जाए, मेरे घर के आगे साईना तेरा मंदिर बन जाए, जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए, जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए, मेरे घर के आगे साईना तेरा मंदिर बन जाए, मेरे घर के आगे साईना तेरा मंदिर बन जाए. जब आरती हो तेरी मुझे घंटी सुनाई दे,
जब आरती हो तेरी मुझे घंटी सुनाई दे।
मुझे रोज सवेरे साइना तेरी सूरत दिखाई दे,
मुझे रोज सवेरे साईनाथ तेरी सूरत दिखाई दे।
जब भजन करे मिलकर रस कानों में घुल जाए,
जब भजन करे मिलकर रस कानों में घुल जाए।
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए,
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए।
मेरे घर के
जय हो,
मेरे घर के
जय हो।
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए,
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए।
आते जाते बाबा तुमको मैं प्रणाम करूं,
आते जाते बाबा तुमको मैं प्रणाम करूं।
जो मेरे लायक हो कुछ ऐसा काम करूं,
जो मेरे लायक हो कुछ ऐसा काम करूं।
तेरी सेवा करने से मेरी किस्मत खुल जाए,
तेरी सेवा करने से मेरी किस्मत खुल जाए।
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए,
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए।
मेरे घर के
जय हो,
मेरे घर के
जय हो।
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए,
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए।
नजदीक रहेंगे तो आना जाना होगा,
नजदीक रहेंगे तो आना जाना होगा।
हम भक्तों का बाबा मिलना जुलना होगा,
हम भक्तों का बाबा मिलना जुलना होगा।
कब साथ रहे बाबा जल्दी वो दिन आए,
सब साथ रहे बाबा जल्दी वो दिन आए।
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए,
जब खिड़की खोलूं तो तेरा दर्शन हो जाए।
मेरे घर के
जय हो,
मेरे घर के
जय हो।
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए,
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए।
मेरे घर के आगे साईनाथ तेरा मंदिर बन जाए।